Hey, Futurist Jim Carroll. Doing a second taping today. I'm going to have a few today because I got a bunch of client events coming up. Here's the thing. Most people think that virtual events suck, but that's because all they're doing, maybe it's you, is you're going to virtual events that suck because you're dealing with people that don't know the production values. They don't know how to do virtual stuff right. They don't know how to build an engaging presentation. Meanwhile, I've been down in my basement. People like Joe Biden, they're making fun of him, aren't they? Working on my virtual studio, working to figure out how to do it right, working to figure out how to get the stage dynamics, which I had for 25 years, going to Vegas and stuff like that, and figuring out how to deliver in a little 6x9 space, which you're looking at right now. This is the virtual broadcast studio. So I've actually got two healthcare conferences coming up, and part of what I'm doing is just to be safe, I'm pre-taping a couple of the segments. This is one of them. One of two, which will look at the future of healthcare. Just so I have them in the can, I'll probably go live for the segment, but it's nice to pre-record them. And what I've learned, the only way to pre-record is actually to go live, because otherwise you stumble and make mistakes. Because, when I walked out on stage in Vegas, I was relentlessly focused that I was going to own that space for 45 minutes, and you don't stumble doing that. And it's the same thing when I come into this live virtual space. I've just found I can do this better if I'm going live, and the mistakes are fewer and far between. So I'm going to have a little pre-roll here of a video from the olden days when I used to be out on stage, and then I'm going to go live with a talk about the future of healthcare. Stay tuned. Pleasure to be here this evening in Dubai. My name is Jim Carroll, and I'm a futurist. Maybe the very first thing that we need to think about when it comes to the future is to appreciate it's probably going to happen faster than we think, because we live in the era of acceleration. We live in a period of time in which everything is speeding up. And what we thought was far away, what we thought was science fiction in the distant future, is actually becoming a part of our life today. We live in an era in which the stuff that we thought was science fiction is all of a sudden becoming a part of our world today. We live in the era of acceleration. If you think about what is happening, if you think about the speed of change, if you think about all of these trends which are encompassing us, increasingly the most important issue going forward, we can't succeed based on what we've done in the past. Our success comes from our speed. Our success comes from our ability to ingest fast-paced change. The future belongs to those who are fast. It is your ability to ingest all of these fast-paced trends and turn them into opportunity that will define your success. And people tend to overestimate how much change will occur on a 2-year basis. They underestimate how much change will occur on a 10-year basis, because we are going to witness more change in the next 10 years than we have even seen in the last 100. We now live in a period of time in which companies that do not yet exist will build products not yet conceived, utilizing materials not yet in existence, with manufacturing methodologies that we have barely even dreamt about. Are you ready for the world of disruption? Are you ready for a world in which the inconceivable is suddenly going to become a part of our life? Change your future before it changes you. And recognize it's going to happen faster than you think. Thank you very much. Enjoy your conference. If we're to come up with a strategic plan that helps us define where we're going in the world of healthcare, we've really got to have a good understanding of the basic transformative trends which are shaping our world. And the thing is, a lot of these trends have been changed to a dramatic degree and accelerated by the impact of the global pandemic and COVID-19. But we've got to start out with the fundamentals. How is healthcare change going to change in the future? Well, I've been talking about this on stage for over 25 years. With a lot of insight on just exactly what those big transformative trends are. And look, way back in 2006, I put together this document, The Future of Medicine, which was a nice, concise overview of the trends which were going to provide a lot of opportunity and challenge for the massive global healthcare system in the years to come. And it's actually a fascinating document to go back and look at because what happened with a lot of these trends, the emergence of personalized medicine and bioconnectivity and drugs get smart and business model change, a lot of these trends captured the attention of healthcare executives worldwide. I soon found myself speaking at a tremendous number of association conferences around the world. Most of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies have had me in for CEO or senior level or R&D based leadership events. I've gone into a tremendous number of hospitals, healthcare institutions, medical facilities. I've gone into pharmacist groups and have shared the insight on what these trends provide in terms of future opportunities. So it's a really good idea to take a look at these. 10 basic trends, I think, which are defining and continue to define our future. Number one, bioconnectivity. Think about what is happening here with the arrival of a lot of smart, medically connected medical technology. Look, I'm 61 years old, and every morning I get up and I put on my iPhone-based blood pressure cuff and check my numbers, and I get on my smart scale and check my weight. What we have had here is the emergence of a lot of smart technology that really accelerates what we can do with innovation in the industry. And if you think about what happens, a lot of this stuff, it's technology-based. So the second trend that is underway is innovation in the world of healthcare science, medicine, and every other aspect of the global system is accelerating to the speed of Silicon Valley. What does that mean? Well, technology companies like Facebook and Google and YouTube and PayPal, they all innovate a heck of a lot faster than traditional medical science and healthcare organizations and hospitals. But what you are finding is that the pace of innovation is speeding up to that accelerated rate of change. Third key trend is what we call upside down healthcare. Look, the arrival of genomic medicine in the last many years has forever changed what we understand in terms of the conditions that people might develop throughout their lifetimes. The way I would describe it on stage is, over time we are moving from a world in which we fix people after they're sick to a world in which we increasingly have knowledge of what they are likely to become sick with based upon their genomic profile, based upon their DNA, and we re-architect the delivery of healthcare services based upon that insight. All of this is leading to massive knowledge acceleration. Years ago, it was estimated that the volume of medical knowledge is now doubling every 8 years. Think about what is happening, the arrival of new methodologies, new procedures, new technologies, new forms of diagnosis, new forms of treatment. The typical doctor or nurse today is in a situation in which they are in a tsunami of new medical knowledge that they have to master simply to keep up with all of the developments which are occurring. And that's why there's an increasing amount of healthcare specialization, because nobody can know everything there is to know about any particular aspect of the world of healthcare. Patient empowerment. This is a huge issue. Think about what happens as we get this iPhone-based medical technology, becoming a part of our lives. Think about what has happened, both good and bad, with the arrival of the internet and tools by which we can sometimes better understand our healthcare circumstances or fall prey to the issue of internet-based hypochondria. Regardless of what is happening, we are more engaged with our own healthcare circumstances than ever before. I know when I go and talk to my family doctor, it's much more of a consultative relationship where I've got the numbers, I've got the insight from real-time data monitoring. And if you think about what has happened here, is the centuries-old relationship between doctor and patient has forever changed. It's now much more of a two-way street. Now, there's a downside to this. Many doctors have told me that they need to now spend a lot of time in their doctor's office to dissuade certain patients from the information that they've managed to gather about their healthcare circumstances. Well, there's upsides and downsides. A key trend, business model disruption. It used to be healthcare facilities did everything there was to do to deal with particular healthcare issues. But there's a lot of innovation occurring in offloading particular medical procedures to pharmacists. There's a lot of innovation occurring with the arrival of new clinics. One of my favorite stories had to do with a U.S. initiative called the Minute Clinic, and their tagline was, "You're sick, we're quick." We know we have to innovate in terms of customer-patient interaction. We know we have to innovate with new business models. We know we need to challenge ourselves on new ways of doing things. A lot of what I talk about, in terms of the future, was the acceleration of the science of body parts or prosthetics, or the ability to grow human tissue for replacement organs. And we've certainly seen a lot of acceleration of this technology through the years. Key trend, generational change. Look, the baby boomer of today, we grew up with COBOL and BASIC and Fortran, all this ugly, complicated technology, and it's caused a bit of a challenge for today's 50, 60-year-old doctor, where they don't necessarily have a good relationship with all of the technology that has invaded their healthcare space. But think of a medical doctor coming out of college today. They've never known a world without an iPhone. They've never known a world without an iPad. They've never known a world without the internet. I talked to a physician recruitment group in the US, and I had these statistics that indicated an oncology doctor today coming out of school is much more in tune with the use of technology and genomics and fast-paced science to deal with the opportunities to master complex cancer cases. Generational change is huge. We're in the middle of it. Obviously, one of the trends that I talked about was virtualized medicine, and we're going to lead to a world in which increasingly a hospital is no longer defined by the physical walls of its building, but are defined by the virtual reach of the technology which goes out to consumers and provides for interaction, whether that's remote medical devices or remote consultation via computer. All of this demanded and led to the trend that I spoke about, that look, we need big, bold thinking. We need to be of a mindset that the future is coming at us with staggering speed, and it is implicit upon us as healthcare executives, healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, specialists, to think big and bold about where we're going in the future and what we can do to innovate in the context of the system to align ourselves to the reality of these trends. And look, just last year I found myself in Paris with a senior executive group for Pfizer talking about the acceleration of healthcare. And now we find ourselves in the midst of COVID-19 and the global pandemic. And they realized at the time that everything was changing, and look how quickly every single pharmaceutical organization is now moving at a furious speed to try to come up with a vaccine which will help the world to deal with the complexities of what has emerged here. It's been an amazing experience talking about the future of healthcare in the context of these fast-paced trends. I went in and spoke to one group about the concept of regenerative medicine, and that is the ability to grow human body parts. And I dug out this fascinating statistic from Wake Forest University that said, it's not a matter of decades before we might grow replacement organs. It's a matter of years. This is coming from the head of research at one of the world's largest regenerative medicine centers in the world. I've had a lot of unique situations where stuff I've talked about on stage has already quickly become a reality. Remember the movie Fantastic Voyage in the 60s, early 70s, where there was a little camera by which people were traveling through the body to examine the healthcare circumstances of an individual. Well, PillCam technology is here and purports to do exactly that. I've gone into groups of optometrists and vision specialists, and I've talked about the fact that we are seeing the emergence of bionic eye technology, which might provide vision to those who previously were not able to see. And just a few weeks ago, I was reading an article where in Australia, they implanted the world's first bionic eye. I mean, we're in a situation in which science fiction-like ideas that I would talk about on stage as being far away are all of a sudden here. Digital twin technology, the ability to use sophisticated technology to plan and architect a surgery of a heart or a lung or other organ, utilizing sophisticated digital twin technology so we can, in effect, do the operation in advance before we do it live. The arrival of heads-up display technology, the type of thing that you see in a fighter jet, where we've got a heads-up display by which we get information with respect to our flight patterns. The same type of technology is coming today into the world of medicine so that the surgeon or the medical profession, in essence, has an encyclopedia in the display to which they are using. You think about this in the context of Silicon Valley acceleration, where technology companies are driving forward a lot of this change. And the concept of having a wrist-based device with a holographic doctor by which you are, undergoing a medical consultation, I think it's the type of thing we're going to see in our lifetime. And nothing is too far away. Nothing is too far out of reach. And it's led to a lot of really unique circumstances. Last year, I was the opening keynote speaker for the American Association of Orthopedic Executives and the American Association of Orthopedic Surgeons. And I was going on stage and I was talking about the fact that we were going to see the arrival of a lot of 3D printing technology, which would let us 3D print hip replacements and other items for surgical implant. Well, that technology is already here, but moments before I went on stage, a tweet came out from a fellow futurist I follow, which was talking about this organization which was actually 3D printing prosthetics devices for kids. All of a sudden, the science fiction-like stuff which I'm about to talk about on stage has become real. I'm a futurist. I can barely keep up with the speed of change which is occurring. That's why if we're thinking about the future of healthcare, if we are strategizing about where we're going and what we're trying to accomplish, the key is this. No idea is too crazy. No bold concept is too extreme. We really need to realize that we are going to see more change in the world of healthcare in the next 5 to 10 years than we have seen in the last 100 years. And what are we going to do to align our strategy to that reality? That's what we've got to comprehend.